March Madness is quite possibly the three greatest weeks on the American sports calendar, and anybody who follows college basketball knows exactly why. The upsets, the emotion, the watching basketball from noon until after midnight, there is nothing that compares to this tournament in the world of sports. But I'm going to give it a shot anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel. My name is Will Fowler. If you have forgotten what I look like or sound like, no worries. I know it's been a while, but we're back with another video today. If you're new to the channel and want to help me out, please be sure to go and click that like button, click that subscribe button, so you can always be one of the first to see any video that I come out with. Now let's get into it. Folks, a couple days ago, I was watching the Champions League knockout phase. It was Chelsea and Atletico Madrid, and a brilliant, groundbreaking, once-in-a-lifetime idea came to me. Selection Sunday was just a couple days prior, and so I was filling out my March Madness bracket as well, busted by the way, and I wondered, what would a 68-team single-elimination tournament look like for European football? And because the ongoing pandemic has virtually destroyed both my social life and any remnants of communication skills I had, that's exactly what I spent the last couple of days doing. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I bring you European football bracketology, 68 of Europe's finest in one single elimination tournament. Before we get into who made the tournament, let's take a look at how it's structured. 68 teams, 31 AQs, automatic qualifiers. Those are the teams that got into the competition because they won their domestic league, along with 37 at-large bids. So 68 teams split into 4 different regions. Each region has 16 seeds, so there's 4 teams on every single seed line. It's confusing now if you're not familiar with the tournament, but it will make a lot more sense as we get into this thing, trust me. So who did make the competition? Let's get into that right now. We'll start with the AQs, the automatic qualifiers, and these are teams that are in the competition because they have won or are currently winning their domestic leagues. What I did was I took the 31 highest ranked nations on the UEFA League coefficient and went to whoever is winning their league right now. So this is where we get Manchester City, this is where we get Bayern Munich, this is where we get Atletico Madrid, this is where we get some of those heavyweights. But this is also where we get some of the smallest clubs in the competition. Clubs like Olimpia Ljubljana from Slovenia, Kairat from Kazakhstan, Ferencváros from Hungary, and these are teams that are going to be on the 14, 15, 16 seed lines, but they will cause problems for the big seeds. That's how it happens every single year in March Madness. Don't get it twisted. These smaller clubs that you may not have heard of will win games in this competition. So with those out of the way, that gives us 37 spots still remaining, and these are called the at-large bids. These are the teams that aren't currently winning their domestic leagues, but are still good enough to be playing in a competition like this. In college basketball, a lot of these spots go to the best conferences. They go to the ACC, they go to the Big Ten, they go to the SEC, and rightfully so, because those are the best teams in the nation. So this is where we get the teams like Real Madrid, Juventus, Manchester United, RB Leipzig, those teams that aren't currently winning in their domestic leagues, but are certainly considered one of Europe's 68 best teams. And like I said, you can take a look at the full at-large bid list here, and most of the teams on this list are represented by the Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, Bundesliga. And that's the way that this should be, because those are Europe's toughest divisions, and so that's really where Europe's best teams play. But there are some exceptions, and you can pick them out on that list as well. You can see there's also teams there from Liga NOS in Portugal, Elite Serien in Norway, Eredivisie in the Netherlands, and the Russian Premier League. It's not just where they play domestically. There's a lot that goes into it. It's their form in their domestic league, but also what they're doing in Europe and how they're currently playing. A lot of different factors that go into deciding an at-large team, and there are some teams that don't play in Europe's Big 5 leagues that are certainly worthy of being in this competition. For the most part, we'll see these teams seated anywhere between 1 and 12 in the regions. That's the way things typically go, because although they're not winning their domestic leagues, you still would back them to be better than some of the teams that do have automatic qualifiers, and so they'll be seated ahead of them despite getting there through different circumstances. So now that we know who's in the competition, let's get into the way that I've seeded them, starting with my #1 overall seed, and that's Manchester City out of England. This team is virtually unbeatable, and I think they've been the best team in Europe since the start of the 2020-2021 season. Obviously so good in attack, and we know that, but defensively is where I really think they have the edge. That center back pairing of Ruben Diaz and John Stones has been maybe the best in the world since Ruben Diaz joined the club in the summer transfer window. So difficult to beat them, almost impossible to beat them. They could do the quadruple. That's how good they are this season. They could do the quadruple if they were to get some luck in the Champions League. Manchester City, my #1 overall seed in European football bracketology. Let's fill out the one line with my other 3 top seeds. I've got 3 league leaders at the moment. Bayern Munich without a doubt, a 1 seed in this competition. PSG, who just recently overtook first place in Liga, and maybe a bit controversially, Atletico Madrid is my last 1 seed. I think that what they've done up to now, obviously they're out of the Champions League, that gap at the top of La Liga is shrinking, but their body of work from the start of the season up until now is so worthy of a 1 seed, I think. It is close though, and that's because my best 2 seed is Real Madrid, so they will be placed in the same region. Champions League group winners were Real Madrid, and they escaped a really difficult group with Shakhtar Donetsk, Inter Milan, and Borussia Mönchengladbach. They were into the quarterfinal after beating Atalanta, and they've closed that gap to a very, very small margin between them and Atletico Madrid at the top. They've been fantastic. I've also gone for a pair of Italian clubs on the 2 line. Juventus and Inter Milan are both 2 seeds for me, and also RB Leipzig out of the Bundesliga, a team that is out of the Champions League now, but domestically has been so good, keeping the pace with Bayern Munich. And although they're out of the Champions League, they did escape the group of death that included PSG and Manchester United. Certainly been one of Europe's best squads, even if they're no longer in the Champions League. My best 3 seed is Barcelona. I think this is probably a fair place to put them. Of course, they went out rather unceremoniously in the Champions League knockout phase, getting dispatched by PSG across 2 legs, but they are still in that La Liga title race. They do still have the chance to go top in the next couple of weeks if some things break for them. I've also gone for Manchester United on the 3 line, and then Milan and Lille, 2 clubs that have really defied all expectations this year. They've both been exceptional. Milan second in Serie A, Lille second in Liga. Not at all where you would expect these clubs to be back in August or September. Both of them on my 3 line as well. To the 4 line now, and my best 4 seed is Chelsea out of the Premier League. They've been a bit frustrating, but they're really hitting their stride now with Thomas Tuchel, still unbeaten since Tuchel took over. They're into the Champions League quarterfinal. They have a friendly draw against Porto and currently top 4 in the Premier League. So Chelsea, a very worthy 4 seed, I think. And this is also where I've chosen to seed Liverpool, maybe the most difficult team to seed out of anybody in this entire competition. Of course, their form in the Premier League has been absolutely dreadful since the turn of the new year, though they have been plagued by injuries. And in Europe, they're playing very, very well. Just beat RB Leipzig in the Champions League round of 16 into a quarterfinal tie with Real Madrid. Should be a fascinating one. I think a 4 seed is probably pretty fair for Liverpool, all things considered. And this is also where I'm putting Borussia Dortmund and Leicester City, 2 teams who have kind of been doing opposite things. Dortmund horrible domestically, but very good in the Champions League. Leicester horrible in Europe, but doing very well in the Premier League. Both of them fill out my 4 line. This 5 line is just filled with teams that can make surprising runs and do some damage. It starts with Sevilla out of Spain, of course, the defending Europa League champions, out of the Champions League because they were knocked out by Borussia Dortmund in the round of 16, but 4th place in La Liga, in a Champions League spot, and only 5 points off of Real Madrid. They've been very, very good. And I've also gone for the first club outside of Europe's Big 5 leagues, and that is Ajax. Absolutely dominating Eredivisie, but in Europe, they're into the Europa League quarterfinal, one of the favorites to win that competition. They're with Sevilla on my 5 line. I've also got Lyon, who have been exceptional in Liga this season, but have to take a bit of a hit because they aren't competing in Europe, and Atalanta, who are out of the Champions League now, but they did advance out of the group phase and into the round of 16. The 6 seeds include 2 Portuguese clubs, the first of which is Sporting, currently leading Liga NOS, could be on pace to win their first domestic title in almost 20 years, and they're joined by Porto, who are not doing as well in the league, but they knocked out Juventus out of the Champions League. They're into the Champions League quarterfinal. They'll play Chelsea. 2 Portuguese clubs doing great things in different competitions. Finishing out my 6th line is Lazio from Serie A and West Ham United, who a year ago were near the drop zone, now 5th place in the Premier League. Impressive turnaround for West Ham. This 7 line is another one of my favorites, not just because it includes Tottenham and Arsenal, but also because it includes Steven Gerrard's Rangers, who've been one of the coolest stories out of European football all season long. 28 wins and 5 draws in 33 matches in the Scottish Premiership, unbeaten, 10 goals conceded in those 33 matches. They reached the Europa League round of 16. They've been so good, Steven Gerrard's Rangers. And filling out my 7 line is Roma out of Serie A. They've been hovering around that top 4 all season long, and they're into the Europa League quarterfinal. The 8 seeds include Napoli out of Serie A, Everton, who've been impressive in the league, Villarreal, who've cruised through the Europa League knockout phase, and Wolfsburg, who are surprisingly third place in Bundesliga as we stand. They will play against the 9 seeds in the first round, and my 9 seeds are Real Sociedad out of La Liga, Monaco, who've impressively been in the Liga title race all season long, Frankfurt from the Bundesliga, and PSV out of the Eredivisie, who've been impressive domestically. They also advanced into the Europa League knockout phase. My 10 seeds are Leverkusen, Spartak, Benfica, and Olympiacos. They will match up with a 7 seed in the first round. Some really intriguing matchups potentially there. My 11 seeds are Zenit, Braga, AZ, and a play-in game between Borussia Mönchengladbach and Granada. We'll have 4 play-in games, 2 between teams without large bids, 2 between teams that are automatic qualifiers, and this is called the first 4. It's the reason why our field is 68 and not 64. It's these 4 play-in games. The 12 line includes another play-in game, this one between Molde and Celtic. It also includes 3 teams that were automatic qualifiers: Salzburg, Cervena Zvezda, and Club Brugge. And this is also where we start to get into those clubs that are a little more lesser known. Maybe you haven't heard of them. So those 13 through 16 seeds, I'll just show you all at once. Here they are. Last but not least, we've got the seed lines. So let's take a look at the bracket itself, because that's what everyone really cares about. Who's playing against who? There are some really fascinating first round ties based on the way that these seedings have gone. Let's start with the top left of the bracket. This is the England region, named after Manchester City, the 1 seed. City, Leipzig, Barcelona, those are the clubs that you would probably back to make a run to the Final Four. But there's also some clubs in this bracket, in this part of the bracket, that can cause some havoc. And I back Leicester, Sevilla, Olympiacos, all of those teams as ones that can throw a wrench in some teams' plans and bust some brackets. To the top right, this is the Germany region, named after Bayern Munich, the 1 seed up there. And this one might be the toughest region of the 4, if you ask me. Realistically, Bayern Munich is probably the favorite in this region, but you've also got Inter Milan, Manchester United, Borussia Dortmund, Ajax, all clubs that you can see realistically making a run in this thing to the Elite 8, to the Final Four. They're paired with Villarreal, who I back as one of those teams that can throw a wrench in some plans. Dinamo Zagreb has looked good in Europe this season. Not an easy region at all to advance from. To the bottom right now, and this is where we get the France region, named after PSG, the 1 seed here. We also get Juventus, Milan, Lyon, all teams that are in the middle of title races. Both Merseyside clubs also here, Liverpool and Everton. Would be fascinating to see them meet later on in this competition. And Rangers, who I think, and I know some of my friends agree, are a massive sleeper in this competition, are down in this France region as well. Finally, to the bottom left we go. This is the Spain region, named after Atletico Madrid, but it features a pair of Madrid clubs, Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid. What an Elite 8 matchup that would be if they were to meet at that stage in the competition. But Lille, Chelsea, Atalanta, all teams that can cause issues and make runs deep into this thing. And I really like PSV potentially as a team that can cause Atletico Madrid problems in the round of 32 if they win that 8-9 match. Finally, let's take a look at this bracket as a whole. All 4 regions, all 68 teams, all in one photo in all of its glory. God, it's beautiful. For what it's worth, my Final Four in this competition would be Bayern Munich, PSG. I like Real Madrid to advance out of that Spain region, and Sevilla, one of those clubs that I tapped that could cause some problems. I think this is their kind of tournament, and I see them being that Cinderella to make a run to the Final Four. If you want to fill this bracket out, though, you can. There's a link in the description of this video. It'll take you to a new website with a blank interactive version of this bracket. Fill it out. Let me know what you think. Send me your Final Four, because I really want to know how you guys would envision something like this playing out. As per the usual, if you like this video, please go ahead and hit those like and subscribe buttons so you don't miss a single thing. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at WillFowler5. Follow London's Finest on Twitter. London's Finest is the show that me and 2 of my buddies do 3 days a week, where we just break down all of the biggest news in the world of European and North American football. That's at London's Finest QU. Both of those links can be found in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.